Welcome, everybody, once again. I don't know if did I introduce it as the old channel name on the last podcast?
I don't remember.
Alright, anyway, SuperGameStack. We're here with another podcast, and by we, I mean Joe Johnson is here with me.
Hello.
Chewing pizza, tentatively.
Little Caesar's deep dish.
We just finished up with our best games of the generation, and we are moving on to most underrated.
I guess I'll start us off today. My first game on underrated, and probably the best one on there, 3D Dot Game Heroes for the PS3.
Yeah, I teased this a little bit last episode, and I totally agree with you. It is by far my favorite PS3 game, and just no one talked about that game. But
this 3D Dot Game Heroes is the definition of a sleeper hit. It's such a good game, but it just somehow didn't get around to everyone that ever owned a PS3, because every person who owns one should play it because it's so fun. It's such a throwback to Zelda, to any of the old school RPGs, anything like that. Like, it references the early Final Fantasies, the Dragon Quest.
So many references in it. Did you you can actually create your own character.
Yeah, the first time around I ended up playing as like the samurai that they had, which they already have so many different character skins you can choose from. And then I ended up making a Cloud Strife one. And it was kind of cool because, like, when it's just the level of customization is pretty cool, because you can have different, like, images or, I guess, things for, like, when you're walking and then when you strike. So I always had, when Cloud was walking, the Buster Sword would be on his back, and whenever he'd strike, I'd take the Buster Sword off so it looks like he's drawing it really quickly. That's just a little thing I like, though. But it was just a great game. It plays just like the old school Zelda. Has the art style is just so beautiful. It's
it's a great game. Like, beautiful looking game. But burp there.
3D Dot Game Heroes, though, if you own a PS3, I highly recommend it because it's a fun game. There's a whole lot extra stuff to do. It just, I would just wish it wouldn't have been exclusive, but I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I never been into, like, I mean, I'm a big Zelda fan, but I've never been into, like, the top-down Zelda type games before. I don't know, they're always just kind of, I seem to always somewhere in the middle just get lost and then give up. And but no, 3D Dot Game Heroes actually made it all the way through, and it was pretty fantastic.
The top-down Zeldas are definitely different, but I think they're all pretty good.
Yeah.
Link to the Past, obviously the best.
I got a 3DS, I plan on playing Oracle and Season, Ages and Season.
I just recently beat Ages, and I'll play Season soon, because I have them for the Game Boy Color. Throw it back to my childhood.
Burping up a storm. Alright, moving on. Let's see. You took the first one off my list, so, gosh, I have some weird ones. I'm going to go with Punch-Out for the Wii. I don't know. It's just like, it's basically just like the original game for the NES, but with more great. It has the same fighters that you fight in the NES with some additional ones.
Does it have Mitsubishi?
Yeah, you mean Piston Honda? Yeah, I think it does have Piston Honda.
Sweet.
And then it has it's basically the exact same gameplay wise, but with cool graphics, and they even keep some of the racial stereotypes for the Wii one. But I don't think anyone really played it too much, just because it's, like I said, it's a fighting game. It's more of a puzzle game. It's kind of a niche crowd. But if you have a Wii and you like the original, or you've always wanted to play the original, I suggest getting Punch-Out, because you can get it pretty cheap nowadays.
I can't comment too much on that. I wasn't a fan of the original, and
oh, you're dumb, Joe. So.
All right. Well, anyway, my next game is Lost Odyssey.
Ugh.
I know Dean will disagree because he got through first disc and a little bit through the second, but I think Lost Odyssey is just, I think it's a great game. I think in terms of turn-based RPGs, I think it's one of the better ones. I mean, a lot of people think that turn-based should probably kind of slowly die while action RPGs take up.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I can agree with that, but I still think that turn-based, there can be a little bit more to it. I think Lost Odyssey does a great job. I think it ranks up with some of the older Final Fantasies, and can't say too much about it.
Ugh. There's some nasty stuff at the bottom of my cup. Ugh. Sorry. Sorry about that. Lost Odyssey, yeah, I don't think it's a bad game. I just never could get. Like Joe said, I played through it. It's a 4-disc game. I mean, it's a 4-disc game.
It's such a throwback to the old Final Fantasies, though.
So you're saying we have the same technology now as we did in the PlayStation. No,
the PS1 era and the Xbox 360 are synonymous.
But the problem with me is I actually got into it a decent amount, but I got a decent way in, and then I just came to this one point that I couldn't get past. I did my usual thing where I took way too long of a break from it, and I think what happened was I made the switch from an old Xbox to the new Xbox, and I don't think I brought on my data. So it's just like, whenever I think about going back and playing it, I'm just like, I don't want to replay that whole first disc that I already did. I don't know. Joe has this thing with me where he doesn't think I like JRPGs.
He doesn't.
And it's not that I don't like JRPGs, it's just that a lot of JRPGs just aren't good. So
you take that. I mean, well, actually, that's true because JRPGs there's tons of them, and a lot of them aren't good. But the good ones that I recommended, he still doesn't like. So
I'm good. If I ever get a PlayStation 4 and they ever have that streaming thing where you can stream PlayStation 3 games, I may play Ni no Kuni.
Oh, I definitely want to play. I just have to wait for it to drop price.
Yeah. Oh, it's $30 now. I don't know if that's
still better than 40. Once it goes to 20, I'll buy it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess my last thing's on Lost Odyssey. It definitely has its cringeworthy Japany moments, but if Dean can get past Bayonetta, he should be able to get past any of Lost Odyssey's moments.
I just skipped all Bayonetta's cutscenes. So. Let's see. My contacts are messing up. I can't see. Let's see. This is a weird one. A lot of these are really weird. Halo 3 ODST. I think, I'm not a huge, especially nowadays, I'm not a huge first-person shooter kind of guy. But for the price, it was a little pricey for, like, it's not, I mean, it's a new campaign, but still, like, multiplayer was the same. And it did add Firefight, which is really cool. We take for granted nowadays, but that was the first time.
Yeah, Firefight was a nice addition.
But yeah, it's just like, when I look back, I think it's right there with Halo Reach for my favorite Halo campaign. I think it's pretty awesome. Like I said, it changes. It's hard to really change up the formula for a first-person shooter, and I know they didn't want to stray from it too much with Halo being such a big franchise. You don't want to, if it's not broke, don't break it. But I thought taking it from the eyes of an ODST soldier instead of a Spartan was cool, and it's pretty. I don't know, it's just a great game.
Definitely was the oddball of the Halo family, just because you've been
the
whole
Halo
time.
Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
But Halo Wars wasn't made by Bungie or 343, so
the whole time you've been playing Halo, though, minus Wars, you're always Master Chief, and you're always pretty strong. You can have a shield. You're a strong Spartan, and then in ODST you're an orbital dropship trooper, and you're not.
Oh, you're not even going with what's it called? Acronym. You're not even going with the acronym anagram. What's an anagram?
I don't know.
That's something.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway, so what were you saying?
But it's different because it's a more realistic first-person shooter, not in the fact that you're fighting aliens, but in the fact that you die a whole lot easier. You're not this super powerful guy. Like, you actually have to watch your health and your shield. I don't remember if you have a shield. But
I'm not sure. I can't really remember.
It just definitely was the oddball, though.
Anagram is a type of wordplay, the result of rearranging letters of a word or phrase. So you get it? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So, quick, is that grammar lesson? Alright, let's go on, Joe, with your list.
Alright, my next one, Condemned Criminal Origins. I think this might have even been a release, like a launch title.
It was super early.
For the Xbox 360, but I ended up playing it because one of my friends sold it to me for, I think, $5, and I'll buy any game for $5, but it was just...
You have a decent history of getting games for, like, free or whatever.
Yeah,
Viva Pinata,
that's because I always look for them.
Viva Pinata, Criminal Minds, and then didn't you also get Saints Row 2 for free?
Saints Row 2 for free, because my friend threw it outside because he hated it so much, so I picked it up and it worked. But
that's great.
Condemned Criminal Origins is just a great game, because it's not even a first-person shooter, it's a first-person, I guess, horror game, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very scary game, but it's like, it's hard to describe, but like, it definitely sets up a whole bunch of moments where like I had to pause and just put the controller down because my heart was racing so fast. Because I'm a baby. The second one didn't do it as much for me, but the first one, it's definitely fun. You use mainly melee weapons. Whenever you got a gun, the ammo was pretty much whatever they didn't shoot, and you can't just pick up ammo. It's all picking up guns.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even end up using guns that much. But it was definitely a fun game. I think it was definitely something you should pick up because you probably can get it pretty cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you can. If you can find it, that's
I think it was even on that Sega, or you know how that Sonic had that deal on Xbox recently.
Sega Super Sale.
Yeah,
or whatever?
they had that on there for like maybe $10, which I didn't buy it because I already had it, but it was a good game.
You should have told me. Like, that's a quick bit. That was they had that recent Xbox Live summer sale where they took. I'm not a big fan of games on demand, but they lowered the price of a lot of games on demand. And it was like
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I did get Forza Horizon, but it's like the reason why, or it was unfortunate because I was in Austin, Texas for a huge chunk of that, and so I didn't get to, and I wasn't connected to the internet while I was there, so I didn't get to download any games besides Forza. So let's see, moving on. Let's see. I have another one. I think it's underrated, and for how cheap you can get it, I think you should play it, but I still don't think it's a great game. It's called The Club. Have you ever heard of it?
I haven't.
It's a game for a 360. It's sitting right there above Shadowrun on my GameStack. And it's basically like... It's really hard to explain. It's a third-person shooter where you basically have to, like, run through courses, and what you do earns you points. Like, if you shoot... Like, getting headshots gives you more points. It's kind of like, if you understand Bulletstorm, it's that Bulletstorm was a little bit more creative, but it's basically like... Start at point A, get to point B, killing guys in creative ways, good times, and you get good points. And like I said, it's still not a great game, but you can get it for like dirt if you can find it. Because like I said, it's not very popular. If you can find it, you can get it for dirt cheap, and it was a lot of fun. So
actually, talking about Bulletstorm, I didn't put that on my list, but I think it definitely deserves it. If you can get past how awful the dialogue is, which I mean, the thing is, you have to realize that they're making fun of all the shooters. Like, I can't even remember how many times they said like dick munch or dick what, like all that. It's definitely something like a 12-year-old would say that you've heard online or whatever. But it's actually, in terms of a shooter, it's a great game just because putting the leash in there just adds a whole bunch of different ways. The weapons are top notch. Each one is very different. It's just, I think, pretty much making the currency. You get money from the points you get from killing people in stylish and different ways, and I think that Bulletstorm is definitely a game you should pick up. I think it's really fun. I think it's definitely underrated.
Yeah, Bulletstorm had one of the best
trailers.
It just had one of the best ad campaigns. One that Joe and I are thinking of right now is the... What is it called? Duty Calls thing?
Calls.
Where, Bulletstorm is a super over-the-top video game, first-person shooters. So it basically, they had this trailer. I don't know exactly how to explain it.
It was mimicking the Call of Duty stuff, like, very basic. Like, there was one thing where it said, like, I'm shooting you now. And then, like, and then he shot you, like, twice, and then, like, the screen turns to bloody. It's like, and then, like, you hear this, like, narrator guy say, bloody screen. So real. That's
an inside joke we've had for a while. Yeah, if you just go on YouTube and look up Duty Calls Bulletstorm.
And then there's this one point, like, a paratrooper's coming down, and it's like... Then later in the trailer, there was this one part where, like, a paratrooper's, like, gliding down, but it goes into cutscene. It's like, you cannot shoot me because it's a cutscene, and something like that. Which is just, it's making fun of Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is always just trying to, like, take things epically over the top, and it's not practical.
Yeah, super linear as well. Yeah, it's a great trailer. And then also, I didn't even know this trailer existed until later on, but they did even though I actually really liked the original trailer, do you remember the Halo 3 Believe trailer where it was like all the action figures and stuff like that? And it's like, it's basically like some dude made a ridiculously huge, like, battle scene out of like Halo action figures and crap like that, and like it's like a bunch of models, and it's really cool. But there's a Believe trail. It's called Believe trailer, and Bulletstorm did a mock of that where they basically did the same thing. And the punchline of it is, in the Believe trailer, it goes up to like the pinnacle point of it is like a brute holding up Master Chief, and then at the end of the trailer, like all the action figures are like just standing still throughout the entire trailer, and at the very end, like you see Master Chief like just turn his head, and he has a plasma grenade and it lights up. And in the Bulletstorm version of it, it has the same thing where the main character is being held up, and then all of a sudden he just starts vomiting. Sorry, go look that up as well. The original Believe trailer is hilarious, but they're all, it's great stuff. All right, we got off on a Bulletstorm tangent there.
Bulletstorm, definitely a game you should pick up.
Yeah,
just close your ears when you have to hear the dialogue. But
or just turn the volume down.
I thought it was funny just how stupid it is. I think it's, if you understand it's satirical, it's a little more bearable.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna try to wrap this up now. I have a couple quick ones I want to talk about. This is the one I mentioned to you in the car that I think you'll like. It's a game that doesn't exist anymore, may never exist anymore. It's called 1 vs. 100.
Oh, that's a toughie.
That's it was an arcade title, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, it was like one of those free-to-play Xbox games a couple of years ago.
It was like 2010, I think, or maybe 2009 even. And it was basically, if you know the TV show 1 vs. 100, it was basically that, except for using Xbox Live. And it was around for a couple months and then just disappeared. I don't know whatever happened to it, but it's fucking awesome. It was like so much fun to just get together with friends, and I wish if they brought it back, I'd play it some more.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It's pretty much just a basic trivia game, but you could play with your friends, and like you could see what answers they chose and just make fun of them and do little dances with your avatar. It was definitely a really fun game to play. I'm with Dean. I wish they would have kept it around longer. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Alright, do you have any you want to rattle off?
Viva Pinata, just because...
Did you put that on your list?
Yeah, I actually did.
Oh, you know me too well.
Viva Pinata, I'll let Dean talk about it some more, but I just think it's a great game.
Yeah, I don't really have too much... I guess we talked about a decent amount in the favorite games of the generation. Go watch that podcast and I elaborate a little bit more. But it is it's a very niche game, kind of like Animal Crossing, to where you either get it or you don't, and if you get it, it's a lot of fun. It's got some great music too by Grant Kirkhope.
Viva Pinata is just a fun game to play, very stress-free, just one of video games' finest.
Yeah, is that the last one you got?
Yeah, that's my last.
Then I saved this one for last because I know no one's going to be listening by now, and I don't want people bitching, but I think by far most underrated game of this generation, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Everyone on the internet hates it. I think 90% of the people who hate it because of this YouTuber called JonTron, who's a huge Banjo-Kazooie fan, but he despises Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. And I understand why someone might not like a game because it's not like the predecessors. But that doesn't make Nuts and Bolts a bad game. And like I watch his video, I see some of his complaints. I just don't get it. Like, I remember one huge complaint he had was that in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, they break the fourth wall a lot. And he's just like, yeah, there they are breaking the fourth wall. You know, like the Banjo-Kazooie series is known for, like, mocking it to an extent. And I'm playing Banjo-Tooie. Like, first half an hour of Banjo-Tooie, they break the fourth wall like 3 times.
Why does breaking the fourth wall even mean that much?
I don't know. Like, I mean, that's one of his, like, more petty argument, or like small arguments, I guess. But I really liked it. I would love, like I said, I'm replaying Banjo-Tooie now. Banjo-Kazooie is my favorite platformer on the N64. I'd love for them to go back to their roots, but I'm not going to hate a game just because it's not what I want it to be, and it's one of my favorite games of the generation as well. So, I guess that's it. I also had Beatles Rock Band, because I don't think people appreciate how good that game was. It was great.
It's definitely a fun game.
It was beautiful.
But you have to like it, Beatles music, otherwise you're not going to like it.
Let's see. I also had, oddly, I'm not even going to get into this one because I'll go on for too long, but yeah. I had the original Gears of War. I think people don't appreciate it enough. I think it's the best in the series. Mainly Joe, who's a douche about it. Thanks,
Gears of War 2.
Oh, sorry, we don't need to talk about that anymore. All right, so thanks again, Joe, for joining me on this second podcast. We have one more to come. You can check that one out, hopefully at a later date. Go back and watch the very first one we did. Joe, thanks for joining me.
No problem, Linwood.